Hi, I want to get from this image to this image in Adobe Lightroom. Now I'm going to show you how I did it. I'm Rod Lawton. This is Life After Photoshop. There's a couple of things jumping out at me. One of them is the fringing in the top left corner. Those windows. That is quite distracting. Now, if I go to the lens corrections tab in develop, I can click on remove chromatic aberration. I think it's unlikely to fix that. This is not quite like chromatic aberration. It's more like a kind of sensor effect. So I'll switch to manual and the defringe tool. So if I just start pushing up the amount slider, as if by magic, it's gone. Now, you can mess around with the hue if you think you need to. Very often the default setting is fine. So that was a quick fix. I want to have a look at something else. It's a little bit noisy. I mean, of course it's going to be. This is an oldish sensor at quite a high ISO. I'm not a massive fan of Lightroom's noise reduction and sharpening tools, but let's have a go anyway. One of the culprits for noisy images in Lightroom is in the sharpening section. It's detail. So if I take down the detail, so we lose a little definition maybe, but we also lose some of that noise. But also, if you increase the masking, it's like a threshold for sharpening. And I usually end up at a value of around 40. So I think it's looking a little better. And once I've done those things, I can then start bumping up the sharpening until I get a good balance. Now, I think that's better than what I started with, but I'm going to check by turning it on and off. So that's off. It's a bit mushy and noisy. On. It's a bit sharper. Probably is noisy, but noisy in a different way. I think it's better. I think it's better. But we'll stop there because otherwise you just go around chasing your tail with sharpening and noise reduction. Anyway, back to where we were. This is quite nice, but I think I want the colors to pop a little more. And there are lots of ways to do this, but the way I like doing it is with profiles. So the default is Adobe Color. There's other Adobe options. You can browse. There's a menu option for that, or you can browse thumbnails, which I like to do. And I have got a LUTs package from lutify.me, and this is comes in a Lightroom profile compatible form, which I've already got loaded here, and I can start taking a look. And well, that certainly pops, I would say. I can start taking a look at these, and if I mouse over the profiles, I can just very quickly see the effect. That's fine. That's one of Lutify's contemporary color films. I quite like the alternative processes. These are a little bit more extreme, you might say. I don't think any of those is going to add anything here. So let's get out of that and go back to contemporary color films. Haydar isn't too saturated. Halcore is saturated. I use Halcore a lot. Let's do that. So that's not bad. We'll close that. The last thing I want to check is whether Lightroom's auto tone adjustments do any good or not. Sometimes they do, sometimes not. So let's just click auto. I don't know. Let's do before and after view. So, right, okay, that's a good reality check. The image certainly pops. And I think probably in a good way. It's got much more life than the original, and that nasty chromatic aberration is gone. I think there's one more thing I want to do, which I find myself doing, go away film strip, with a lot of images, and that's Go away. Sorry about that. That is to just increase the brightness of the center with a radial gradient. Seems a bit of a clumsy tool to do it, but you'll see what I mean. So I've made my radial gradient. I'm just going to pop the exposure up a little. And I think that just, it's almost like adding a light to the scene. I'm going to move it around a bit. I think it needs it more on the left than the right. I think we can even go a little bit further and make it slightly large. Oops, I've rotated it. Not made it larger. There we are. Made it slightly larger. Unfortunately, the book on the lectern has just completely been wiped out. So I'm just going to try bringing down the highlights. I think that's probably done it enough. I could reduce the exposure, just bring up the shadows to get the same look without too much white out. That's all right. That's all right. Is there anything else? Do you know, I can't resist one more thing. I think what we need is a tiny, tiny vignette. Just to add some contrast and focus on the center. I think that might be it. The windows top left are quite bright, but I think that's just how it is. Let's not mess with it too much. I'm quite pleased with that, and I think I'll stop there.